Hey guys, Zinno here coming up on A to Z. We'll react more to Desmond Ritter starting as well. The trade that has Braves fans scratching their head and the bad loss for the Hawks. That's next on A to Z.
This is A to Z with Mark Zinno, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta.
How did we get here? If you're not the number one pick, guess what? You have no guarantee. That's where you are.
And it starts
Does that make me a genius? Yes.
now.
Good afternoon. Welcome to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, where today I tell you to pump the brakes. Welcome in. We are live here on this Tuesday. Appreciate you guys joining us. Give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On ATL. Of course, I'm at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Don't forget we're on Roku TV. However you get your Roku TV on the Amazon Fire Stick or anywhere else, please make sure you download and subscribe to Locked On ATL. All right, a lot to do today, as always. And we will start the show off with a bit of sad news. We'll expound on it later, but we do learn this morning that we had the passing of Mike Leach, head coach of Mississippi State football team and just college football national treasure. Just unfortunate. They say it was complications from heart problems, and ultimately went into the hospital yesterday, and he never came out of it. So thoughts and prayers, obviously, to the Leach family, but to all of college football today, just taking a huge, huge loss. So more on that here in a moment before the end of the show. Let's start with the Falcons today. And, it's interesting because you can't help, people's reactions online and what you're going to see. I've been telling you guys since we got word last week that, the Falcons we're going to start Desmond Ritter, and what the sort of reaction was to it going to be. And I keep telling everybody, like, all I really want to see is him have command of the offense, right? Like, I'm not looking for a 4 game sample set. I'm not looking for, a trend in the right direction over the course of the 4 games. I'm not looking for any of that. What I'm looking for is him to be able to handle what is in front of for him to not look overwhelmed, for him to not look like he can't comprehend everything that's in front of him. I went back and I watched some of Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, the 49ers quarterback now that Jimmy Garoppolo is injured. And I watched him play in San Francisco, and I watched him play in that game. Um, and again, this was the first full game that he got a chance to play with a week of preparation and everything else, where he didn't have to come in relief. He played the whole game, and I can tell you that he looked comfortable. He only threw, I think, 18 passes in the game. He only had 180 yards. These were nothing eye popping, and I think you'll see the same thing from Ritter. It's not going to be anything eye popping. He did throw 2 touchdowns, but this was a young man who looked confident and felt comfortable running the offense. And that's, I think, all that Falcons fans should expect. And so, all due respect to everybody who has wrote this column or something like this column, because we've seen it for the past couple of days now. But the ones that are like, oh, Falcons quest to find long-term solution at quarterback in post Matt Ryan era. Desmond Ritter, inspire confidence. He can be the guy. Like, guys, you gotta just, like, I get why you write the article. I get you're supposed to get clicks. I get all that. I'm not saying anybody's wrong, and I'm not saying anybody has ill intent, but remember, this is a third round pick. There is a steep learning curve. There is a steep learning curve for first round picks. It's even steeper for third round picks. It's immense for guys like Brock Purdy. Now, Brock Purdy again has had a whole year to wait and practice and then some to figure out whether he's ready or not. And Desmond Ritter sort of has the same thing. And I think this is, you know, part of the reason, um, part of the reason why we want quarterbacks to sit, yet we make the mistake of not letting young quarterbacks sit anymore. We start them right away because we've seen some guys have some success. And we're like, oh, get him in the starting lineup. Everything's going to be fine. If he can play, he can play. If he can, he can't. That's the general sentiment. Well, hopefully, Arthur Smith, who I trust immensely, who I think absolutely has the right sort of mindset for this whole thing in keeping Ritter and holding him back and not pulling the gun too early on him and making sure that he has had a lot of time to practice, a lot of reps and a lot of work and a lot of mental reps and all the other things, making sure that it is taking him a long time to get where he needs to go. is the right approach to this whole thing. And I think you'll see that bear it out on the field on Sunday. I mean, again, this is not an easy test. And you are going to get a Saints pass rush that is going to come after this guy like you would not believe. I mean, that's really what we are looking at here more than anything. And so when I see columns like, oh, fill Matt Ryan's shoes, this, that, and the other, guys, I can tell you this with 100% certainty. With 100% certainty. You will not be any closer after these 4 games at the end of the year to knowing whether Desmond Ridder is the guy long term to replace Matt Ryan than you are right now before he's ever taken a snap. You will be absolutely no closer. And don't kid yourself into thinking that you will be closer. All he can do is secure the fact that he is going to be the number 1 quarterback going into training camp next year. That's all you're going to figure out. That's it. Whether he's going to be the guy or it's going to be an open quarterback competition. All you're going to do is try and solidify whether or not you know if this guy can start for you next year. And to a certain extent, I'd even say all you're going to solidify is knowing if you need to draft a quarterback next year or not, or if you think you do. And that's the real tricky part of this whole thing. And we're going to talk about this later on in the week. Got a lot of quarterbacks coming out, man. A lot of quarterbacks. Are you really going to pass up on one of these, what looks like generational talents for a third round pick based off of a 4-game sample set? Wow, that's tough. That is tough because now you're sitting here right now. Again, you passed up on Justin Fields, and I'm not saying you weren't supposed to one way or another, but all I'm saying is flatly, you passed up on Justin Fields. Look at him right now, and look at Kyle Pitts. Which one would you rather have right now? That's the challenge. That's the real twist for Falcons fans and the Falcons front office. Pass up on another generational type quarterback? Wow. Wrap your head around that one. Won't be easy, to say the least. And none of this stuff is certain one way or another. But right now, just telling you what it feels like. What are the odds that you'll pass on another possible generational franchise quarterback this year in the draft because a guy played good for 4 games? We'll see. Speaking of odds, our word from our friends at betonline.net, fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find your favorite sports and events at the number 1 online source for odds, lines, and games. News and reviews of every league are available. Obviously, NFL, college bowl season coming up upon us, NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, the hot stove getting hotter, combat sports, esports, even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, live in-game betting, podcast scores. They have got you covered on all of it. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts. Yeah. Game will start for the Falcons on Sunday at the Superdome. Is it still the Mercedes-Benz Superdome? Is that the name of it? I think it's like Caesars now or something. Anyway, I don't know. Regardless. Um, before we get to a trade that rocked the Braves and Braves fan base, I want to remind you guys to make sure you check out Locked On Falcons every single day. Make it your first listen. For your next listen, listen to the Locked On Sports Today podcast. Biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Okay, well, here we go. Alex Anthopolous pulled off another one yesterday, and it's interesting. The Braves acquired, and this is from the Braves official press release, catcher Sean Murphy from the Oakland A's as part of a 3-team trade that included the Milwaukee Brewers. Atlanta traded left-handed pitcher Kyle Muller, catching Manny Pena, right-handed pitcher Freddie Tarnock, and right-handed pitcher Roy Salinas to Oakland, while catcher William Contreras and right-handed pitcher Justin Yeager head to Milwaukee. Oakland also required outfielder Esteury Ruiz from Milwaukee. The Brewers received right-handed pitcher Joel Payamps from the A's. Payamps. Murphy is a former Gold Glove award-winning catcher. Last year, batted 250, 18 home runs, 66 RBIs. Led all American League catchers in hits with 134, doubles with 37, RBIs with 66, and a total bases of 229. Racked second in home runs and runs scored with 67. Compiled a career best 5.1 WAR in the season, trailing only JT Realmuto for the most in the majors. Murphy also threw out 19 base runners, tied for fifth most in the majors. Caught stealing attempt, 31%, third best among Major League Baseball catchers. So there's that. Braves take a serious upgrade at catcher, and that's what this boils down to. You could talk about losing William Contreras, and he's going to get a chance to probably go play catcher every day now. I think the Braves were okay with that and content with that. Kyle Muller is the other one I think that Braves fans are really sort of scratching their head on, as this young pitcher was supposed to be, another starter in their rotation. In reality, guess what? This guy was probably a fourth or fifth starter in your rotation. I mean, think about it, guys. Where is Kyle Muller really going to pitch here? Freed, Kyle Wright, uh, Spencer Strider, Charlie Morton. Like, this was the fifth starter in your rotation. How long does your fifth starter last? Not long. Your fifth starter wins 10 games. It's pretty impressive. Now, again, who knows how good Kyle Muller could be? Maybe great. I don't know. We'll never know. But the idea that Braves fans yesterday, and the reaction to this trade was hysterical. I mean, the whining and the complaining from Braves fans yesterday. It's like, oh my God, you guys had me cracking up. Acting as if 90% of Alex Anthopoulos' moves haven't worked out in the Braves' favor. What's the one what's the one that didn't work out? The re-signing over Zuna? Okay, yeah. You can argue it's not his fault. Don't hit your damn wife, or allegedly hit your wife, and guess what? There's that. So I don't know, what people expect, um, and what people think. And some of this, does it feel like some of this maybe is a sort of softer landing for when Dansby ends up somewhere else? Because I think at this point in time, um, I think at this point in time, there is a stronger feeling that Dansby is not coming back. Right? You have to feel like that's the case. To me, that's what, at least what it feels like. I don't know. I have a hard time believing that Dansby is coming back now with this move, because we saw last year the same sort of thing happen. We saw the way he uh, approached the whole Freddie Freeman thing. He was ready to strike if Freeman went somewhere else. And you get the feeling that this is more of a preemptive strike from Alex Anthopoulos, where he's going to make sure that he has some sort of offensive supplement to what was a player that you could probably ill afford to lose. And that was some of the other reaction to me that was also a little bit perplexing. Oh, Braves fans. Oh, Dansby's not that good. Oh, he's not a cornerstone piece. Guys, stop. Okay, Dansby is every bit of a cornerstone piece. He is 100% a cornerstone piece. Don't get it twisted. You know, that's the real thing. I get the other real question here is, and what do the Braves do at backup catcher now? Like, that's the other part of this whole thing. By the way, guys, Dansby Swanson last year, like, Sean Murphy is not replacing Dansby Swanson's productions or his uh, space in the clubhouse. But you are getting an upgrade at one of the better and more tougher positions to upgrade, and you know uh, that isn't easy to do at all. So I guess Travis Darno now is a backup catcher. I guess he's okay with that. He's got an $8 million salary for this year across the board. I don't think he'd be upset about it. I don't think Travis Darno is going to ask for a trade. I think Travis Darno is very good at being a backup catcher, but that's kind of where they are right now. And with the DH, who knows? You can still keep Murphy in the lineup a bunch, let Darno get some reps behind the plate, and theoretically everything works out the way it's supposed to. I mean, this move creates a lot of flexibility for um, a lot of flexibility for the Braves. I don't know why anybody would be uh, upset about this move at all. I told Braves fans on Twitter yesterday, I'm like, yeah, try having Brian Cashman for the last 4 years, and then let me know how much complaining you want to do. Like seriously, this is not a bad trade by any stretch of the imagination. And people thinking that Alex Anthopolous got fleeced, stop, like just stop. And again, why the Braves gave up so much? No, you gave up unproven things. You have no idea what kind of hitter William Contreras is going to be. The small sample set you got from William Contreras, you cannot sit there and try to extrapolate over the course of an entire season. Like it just, I get it. The guy's got power. I get it. You know, but you weren't getting a catcher like Murphy without giving up something worthwhile. It's just that simple. So I don't think the trade is as bad as Braves fans do. I'm not as emotionally connected to it as you guys are, obviously, but still, um, I what do you call it? I think you Braves fans are nuts for overreacting to this. You guys really are. There's no reason whatsoever to be this upset about this deal. So there's that. All right, we got to get to Hawks take another bad loss last night, and the trend that I thought was coming through is going to come through, and of course we'll pay some homage to Mike Leach as well, and some other news and notes we need to get to for the end of this Tuesday. But first, a word from our friends at Built Bar. Have you guys tried Built Bar Puffs? If not, you're depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. And they got a brand new flavor out there. It's called Cookie Dough Chunk. Puffs have a light, chewy texture. They got real chunks of cookie dough in them, and of course, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Cookie dough chunk puffs, only 160 calories, a whopping 15 grams of protein. It's the perfect snack for on the go, in between meals, late at night. If you got a sweet tooth and you don't want to fill up and eat something unhealthy, cookie dough chunk puffs are the way to go. Go to built.com right now, snag a box for yourself, put them in the office, hide them from the kids. Who knows, whatever you want to do, share them with the family. It's just an absolute home run of a snacking idea. Again, go to built.com, use the promo code locked on 15 to get 15% off your first order. Again, use the promo code locked on 15 get 15% off your first order of Built Bar Puffs. Okay, before we get to the Atlanta Hawks, it's time that we do that thing that we always do. It's called a shovel of wisdom.
Brace yourselves, because it's time for the shovel of wisdom.
Yeah, you know how we do it every day. We have to set somebody straight for saying or doing something stupid. You can do so on my Twitter account at Mark Zinno. Of course, use the hashtag shovel of wisdom. And today, my shovel goes to Navy Athletics. In specific, Navy Athletic Director Chet Gladchuk. Name is that. Army beat Navy this weekend. I was overjoyed about the whole thing. I thought it was great. I was very happy. And Army got their sixth win. And I don't even know if they're headed to a bowl game or not, but regardless. Anyway, so right after the game, we find out, and this is according to Heather Dinich of ESPN, that literally Ken Nui Mataolo was fired literally right after the game. He was sitting there, um, like right after the game in the office, and Chet came up to him and fired him on the spot. Now, this had been building for a while, and Navy had in 4 of their last 5 years had a 4 win or less season. It hasn't been trending well for Ken Nui Mataolo, and this was sort of coming. I think we all saw this coming. There were some rumbles of it, but to do it that way for a guy who made this program as successful as it was, for a guy who went to multiple bowl games, got Navy into an actual conference, and exceeded all expectations, and is the career wins leader at Navy as far as football wins is concerned for a head coach, deserved a better firing than this. He absolutely did. This was one of those where you get back to the campus, you call him in your office the next day, and you have the conversation one on one. To do it at his locker or in his office, whatever the heck it was, is one of those things where it's just classless. You don't handle it that way. You just don't. It's bad. You just don't do it that way. So shame on Navy. Would expect better out of a service academy to treat their folks better, and they didn't. So I'm sure Ken will lend somewhere. He's a really good coach and a very good recruiter, and he also again had to deal with a lot of things that many other um, coaches didn't have to deal with, including other coaches at service academies. So there is that. Okay. Hawks take a bad loss last night to Memphis, 128 to 103. Now, third consecutive game where the Hawks have given up 120 points without Deontay Murray and John Collins in the lineup. They're missing a lot of defensive pieces. I get it, but still, this is not acceptable. And um, the the Hawks have to figure out something. Now they're going to go play the Magic uh, on what's today, the 13th, on Wednesday. And I'm curious to see how this team plays and how they actually defensively play against a team that's got a lot of young players in it, but is one of the worst offenses in the league. Like, this is a team that averages 108 points a game. That's third worst in the NBA, only ahead of the Clippers and the Heat. Okay. Just for frame of reference, the Boston Celtics, the best offense in the league, average 119 points a game. The Hawks average 113. This is a spot here where one, you can't afford to lose. Two, the Hawks offense has been sputtering. Um, and Trey continues to have these sort of lackluster nights from a shooting standpoint. And I don't know how they go about turning this thing around. Um, Now, again, the Hawks didn't have Trey Young in the game against Memphis. So that's part of the reason why they only scored 103 points. But here we are. Again, the place where the Hawks were supposed to get fat and happy, they did not get fat and happy at all. By the way, Trey Young was also fined by the NBA. Did you guys see this? He was fined for throwing the ball into the stands. And my favorite part is his reaction. If you'd missed all this and didn't see the game, Trey Young was fined $25,000 on Monday for throwing for the win over the Bulls, where he threw the ball into the stands after Young hit a 20-foot jumper, 1 second left to give the Hawks a 121, 119 lead in the extra period. Of course, DeRozan sinks 2 free throws, and then the Hawks end up getting A.J. Griffin with the last second bucket. But um, Young wrote in a tweet on Monday, "Sorry to the Hawks fans who got a chance to touch the game winning ball. I didn't know you couldn't do that. Can't celebrate S anymore." I guess not. Speaking of S, that bad word. Have you seen the new trophies that the NBA has unveiled? Oh, God. So they renamed all the trophies. Michael Jordan Trophy is now the MVP. Clutch Player of the Year is the Jerry West Trophy. Rookie of the Year is the Will Chamberlain Trophy. The George Mikan Trophy is the Most Improved Player. Defensive Player of the Year will be called the Akeem Olajuwon Trophy. And the Sixth Man of the Year is the John Havlicek Trophy. Okay, yeah, but you're making things really complicated, NBA. But have you actually seen the trophies themselves? They kind of look hideous. They kind of don't look good at all. Yeah, it's not. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Make of that what you will. Whatever. All right, finally here, before we wrap things up and get out of here, just a few more words on Mike Leach, who passed away this morning at the age of 61. Former head coach of Mississippi State and Washington State, Texas Tech. Uh, just an absolute treasure. We're all going to miss him in the college football world, and for those of us who love college football and sink our teeth into all of it and make it part of our daily lives, Mike Leach is going to be missed. He was just an unparalleled personality. From a football standpoint, his offense was unique and genuine, and they loved to throw the hell out of the ball. But Mike Leach never gave you a canned response in any sort of press conference ever. This is a guy who waxed poetically about marriage and what that's like. He broke down a potential fight between Pac-12 mascots when he was at Washington State. Would answer questions about where to take people on dates and don't go to a place where they can order a salad. And I mean, he just had so many great stories to tell every time he was in front of a microphone. It absolutely was something that you wanted to tune into, and that really is the biggest part of um, that is absolutely the biggest part of what we're going to miss about his personality more than anything. So it's a sad day for college football. It's a sad day for football in general, and in particular, a very sad day for the Leach family. And we keep on that whole Mississippi State and Mike Leach family in our thoughts and prayers. And I know that those two words together sound so trite nowadays, but the point simply is that we're all going to miss him, and we're all certainly a little bit less happy today uh, about the passing of Mike Leach, and college football is going to be missing very much a very unique soul. And so, um, pause for a moment of silence for Mike Leach. Stay by your own, and we'll certainly keep him in our memories forever. All right, that'll do it for us today here on A to Z. Appreciate you guys joining us. Want to remind you guys to check out Locked On Falcons every single day with Aaron Freeman. Thanks for making it your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, biggest stories of the day, plus instant reaction, big game recaps, and the take of the day. It's available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Back tomorrow for a Wednesday edition, one day closer to Desmond Ritter's season. And you guys should all be very, very excited for that on Sunday. All right, back tomorrow. You guys have a great day. Don't take any crap from anybody. See ya.